Years passed and Circian grew strong and intelligent, a man of great talents at the age of 25. His hair was wavy and dark, his beard well-groomed covering his face, with eyes blue of the sea and tenacious courage in his heart. The patriarchs of the three families, outside the north, feared his very presence. He seemed like a young man capable of enormous feats. Circian grew up knowing the legend and was motivated to take on his role as king, but his grandfather feared for him due to the tragic destiny that awaited him. One day, all the heads of the families gathered with Circian on the central island and discussed what was to be done. In his humility, Circian made no mention of his role in the prophecy. The three fearful heads of the families proposed an agreement to him, and at this, his heart filled with anxiety and fear. His grandfather felt the same, as if he had heard it for the first time. "Well then, young Circian," said one of the leaders, "the legend announces you as the coming of a king, but we cannot immediately endorse a story in which we have not been participants. If the legend speaks the truth, then destiny must truly make you king of these islands." "How so?" said the young man. To which the patriarch, "Our people have been confined for a very long time in a narrow space of these waters, and we cannot be free. We are slaves to tyrants and brigands who have no pity for us. They kill our men and steal our wealth while we lack the strength. It is the absolute duty of a king to protect his people, and if you are to be that one, then you must do it." Circian's heart was anguished, but vigor immediately returned to his face, like that of a man determined to do anything. "It shall be done, and I will bring peace back to these waters." And he departed from the meeting, and everyone dispersed. Then his grandfather took his arm firmly and said, "Do you not see that these people are plotting against you? They fear your power, Circian, because deep in their hearts feel the legend is true and that they will lose their dominion." To which the young and strong Circian replied, "Their weakness is the reason our people suffer. I cannot behave like them, hiding away and playing with deceit. If I must save the people with my arms, then I will do so with all my will." In the following weeks, the challenge was announced, and as previously proposed, Circian would depart with one ship and 16 men, 4 from each island. A fearless young man from the south immediately enlisted. He was Circian's close friend, both having been nursed by the same woman. His name was Aurethys. Each man possessed specialties from their respective islands. The men of the south were loyal, united, just, and diplomatic. Those of the north were skilled thinkers, scholars of roots, followers of laws and order. Those of the east were born explorers endowed with great intuition, courage, and they saw the stars as guides. Those of the west were the most skilled in maneuvering ships, understanding the winds, and had years of experience in navigation. Everyone was ready to depart and sail new routes. They were lightly armed with large round bronze shields, short and sharp swords, some spears, and a few bows with arrows. They did not wear armor, only light clothing such as linen tunics and cloaks for the cold. For protection, they had only bronze helmets that did not cover the entire face, but only the sides. Circian preferred the bow but was also skilled with the sword, having been trained by the best warriors of the Austromasters of the north. They set out on a full course on a sunny day from the western port, with festivities celebrated by the population. Circian and his companions set course for the first island, where the port city called Aurethys was located. This was the jewel of the south, situated perfectly in the center of the sea, and from it flowed streams of gold to all regions. It was said that there was an infinite fountain, but the truth was simply that commerce was the primary and only form of gain there. Gold flowed into the markets of this city, and vessels came and went with wealth. The people here were once free and were close friends to the Austromasters because they needed exceptional navigators. But now, evil lurked in their streets. Brigands and pirates had taken control. Tariffs had to be paid by those entering and leaving, and the most precious goods on the ships were under their possession. The flow of gold had disappeared and was all in the pockets of their lowly captains. The men of Aurethys had never been warriors, and for this reason they were defeated. The merchant king, once the ruler of the island, lost his courage and ended up wandering the streets like a beggar. His name was Circian. The brave companions docked at the port, paid the tariff, and rested for the night in an inn. The next day, as soon as they stepped out, they saw two men at the end of the street beating and kicking an old man. Circian, with his noble heart, threatened them, drawing his sword. Although all the young man's companions stood behind him, the eyes of the two brigands had been fixed solely on Circian the whole time. Fleeing in fear, the young man helped the old man get up, paid for his food and a wash at the inn, and also paid for his hair care and a new pair of clothes, because it saddened Circian to see people in neglected states. The old man's appearance changed completely. He no longer looked like a street beggar but a nobleman searching for his home. The elderly man's eyes filled with tears, and he said graciously to Circian, "It has been years since I saw a young Austramaster with a heart as gentle and elevated as yours. You do not know me, yet you have offered me all this. Allow me to serve you in whatever way you need." To which the young man said, "Old man, I do not do these things for anyone's sake, nor do I need servants. I arrived 2 days ago and saw this land in sadness. It appears different from the stories of my merchant brothers. What has happened to you?" To which the noble elder replied, "The stories have always been true, but they speak now of a past that no longer belongs to us. I tell you honestly, I was the king of these islands and the most renowned merchant of these seas. Gold flowed from my vessels, and happy, wealthy people inhabited this city. We were protected by all our allied peoples, but over time they fell into captivity by barbarians, and the same fate befell us." Then Circian said, "Do not despair, for I am here with the mission to liberate you, and I do so not because I seek wealth and fame, but with my heart. Pirates preside over your port, and I see that many of their vessels are docked near the cargo loading area." To which the old man replied, "Every month they take the gold that belongs to us from our caves, since there was never enough space to store it elsewhere. 10 vessels in a day are not enough to empty it. The amount is immense, and it would take years to remove it all." To which the young man of noble heart said, "We will plan the liberation of your people together. I will not force you to take up arms, as that is not your art of excellence, unlike commerce, but I will need courageous men ready to do anything to regain their freedom." A spark reappeared in the elder's heart. The despair that had seized him when he saw his lands fall to evil disappeared, and hope took its place. "The people desire to see the flows of gold flourish again, and they will listen to me because they still call me their sovereign," said Circian. The night was spent at the inn together with his companions and the old man, and in the morning the elder went through the streets, knocking on doors and calling his faithful followers to him. The skill of the merchant king laid not only in making ships full of gold flow, but also in moving people toward a common direction. Circian was surprised by the elder's ability to move people's hearts and was inspired by it for his entire mission. Plans were made, and the young men of the city were ready together with the brave companions of the young hero. The night would be the origin of chaos for the lowly men, and fear would reign in their hearts. As soon as there was no more light in the sky, groups of young men approached hidden in the port near the docked pirate ships. Some of the Austramaster warriors dealt with the few poorly armed guards placed there, and no alarm was raised by them. Within a couple of minutes, light returned to the city, but this time it was not the sun, but the pirate ships burning with all the gold they had loaded in the morning. A band of brigands immediately rushed to the port, and in the disorder, Circian launched an ambush, emerging with many of his armed companions from barely visible streets. Battle began between the men, and the experience and blood of the Austromasters overwhelmed the vulgar malice of the brigands. Indeed, these were poorly armed and did not carry weapons made of fine bronze but of raw copper, roughly constructed swords and daggers. None carried bows or used spears because they liked to do the worst harm up close. This cost to them many of their own lives. At least 13 died under the swords and spears of the young Austromasters, the most powerful among them being Aurethys, the fearless. Circian struck down too, and just as the first brigands were fleeing, a second band of pirates arrived, led by a big and wild man. His body was large, and he was much taller than both his opponents and his own men. Circian immediately saw that this man was skilled in the art of combat. As soon as he arrived, he killed some men of Aurethys with great cruelty and instilled fear in the hearts of the young Austromaster warriors. Even the old merchant king, who had remained sidelined and hidden due to his age, shuddered at the scene. Young Circian immediately ordered everyone to flee far away and seek safety, while he wanted to stay and fight. His dear companion Aurethys did not heed him and encouraged the men to attack the brigands accompanying the giant instead. Circian immediately railed against the large man and engaged him in a one-on-one duel. This giant carried a large axe and a mace with spikes in the other hand. His face was scarred, as he was missing an eye and saw emptiness on his left side. Circian launched himself at him first, ducking low so as not to be easily hit. He was almost under the giant's legs, aiming to stab his groin with his sword, when the giant kicked him and sent him flying to the ground. The pain was lancinating in his side, for no normal man possessed such strength. The young hero lost his breath, and as he was getting up, the wild man swung a mace blow toward his back. A horrible sound was heard from that blow, but it was the sound of Circian's bronze sword breaking, as he had managed to parry and deflect it. His sword became useless, and he had to switch to his bow. He quickly moved away, and while keeping his distance and circling around the giant, he noticed that the giant was vulnerable in one direction. When the young man moved to the left, the large man became disoriented and was not as quick to move. Full of cunning, Circian decided to deceive him. He launched his first arrow at the upper part of the large man's leg. It caused pain and enraged him, so the giant started running toward him. Circian, who was much faster, led him onto the dock where a ship was moored on the right. The vessel was quite large, and the young man jumped onto it. There was present a frightened young sailor from Aurethys, who had hidden upon seeing the clashes. He wore a dark cloak around himself to remain unseen. Circian did not really notice him until he was beside, and inspired by the merchant king's gift of word, he gave a speech of courage to the sailor, skillfully convincing him. The giant reached the dock and realized that the young hero had gone onto that ship. When he boarded the vessel, his right eye spotted the movement of a dark, cloaked figure walking near the rudder area. A moment of distraction was all that Circian, skilled with the bow, needed. He had positioned himself on the left side of the ship and struck the giant in the head with an arrow. The wild brigand, distracted by the sailor from Aurethys, fell to the ground. From the void, he never saw the young hero aiming at him.